Hi, it's Andy.
It's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Okay, so we are back doing album reviews. Number two of our reviews of the evening today. We're checking a band out called Throwing Bricks, and the album's called The Burden, if I believe correctly. I did when I first started looking for this. I ended up searching The Burden and started reviewing a band called The Burden. Then realised that actually they don't have an album called Throwing Bricks, so that's why I wasted about an hour. So that was a waste of my day. But we're going to go check this one out. I've just gone off on a tangent. Who wants to keep this one?
Go on, you start it.
I'll start this one.
It was my choice, so you start it.
Okay. Very tight performance from the band. Very intense, aggressive, theatrical in places, I would have said. I have no idea what the guy is saying at all. And that makes me lose interest completely. So when I can't understand what vocally is going on, and I'm more of a groove guy, so when it's very intense, if I get a little bit more of the vocals, then I might understand. But when it's just that intense, I kind of lose interest. And I found that with the album, I lost interest very quickly. There were two tracks that I actually didn't mind, which was False Promises and Clearly Awake. I thought they were not bad tracks, and I would probably listen to those two tracks again, but it's just too aggressive for me. You know me, I like a little banjo and a nice little sitar and stuff like that. It just, that intensity is just too much. I couldn't do it. I listened to it and I did go through the whole album. Normally I would have, that's one of those ones that 10 seconds into the first song, I would have been hitting the skip button normally. But I kind of forced my way through it. And unfortunately, yeah, it's just not something I would listen to really again.
Dave, for our viewers, how would you describe it from a what genre would it fall into, in your opinion?
Fucking noise. That's what I don't know it. We get into these sort of it's not death. It's, I don't really know. There seems to be a whole host of these bands coming out now that just want to be harder, more aggressive. They just want to be more extreme. So is this extreme metal now? Is that what this has become? I don't know. You guys would probably know more of that because it's more, well, Kirk, this is definitely more your genre, isn't it?
Let's bat it over to Andy. Andy,
okay.
Before you give your appraisal, what if you had to describe this as a genre or a subgenre for our viewers? How would you articulate that?
Well, I was going to bat it over to you at the end because it is hard to categorise. I mean, I've in my sort of notes, and I did give this one a good listen 3 or 4 times. There's going to be some bands I mentioned that Throwing Bricks are trying to emulate or are very influenced by. I mean, their bio says this sludge, screamo, hardcore black metal, which covers quite a lot. And as you said, David, is it extreme metal? I mean, the bands in question that I think they are very, very similar to is Cult of Luna. There's Conjure in places, even depressive and suicidal black metal, and nocturnal depression. You know, particularly the end of one you like, David, Clearly Awake. It's a very, very simple but fast depressive and suicidal black metal riff, very much like nocturnal depression. But you know, it's not a band I've heard of. The name indicated to me that they were just going to be sort of straight ahead hardcore. You know, the reference about Throwing Bricks made me think of Guilt Trip, the Manchester hardcore band who mentioned throwing bricks and smashing things with bricks in one of their songs, who I absolutely love, by the way. But as I say, very musically and vocally reminded me of Cult of Luna. I'm not a huge fan of that band, but the album that Lead Me Here was reminiscent of the material in this album. But yeah, some really good riffs. There's some doom elements. There's spoken word, which sort of gives you a bit of respite from the extremity. Yeah, lots of influences in there. Very hard to pigeonhole and categorize. You know, Kirk, this is more your sort of area to actually sort of pinpoint where they'd fall in the genres. It's a good job this is available to us, everybody on stream, because if you saw this in a record store, you wouldn't buy it. The cover is absolutely awful. It looks like a woman trapped in a bin bag on a purple background. I'm not quite sure what they're trying to say there, but yeah. I really enjoyed the album. I did give it a lot of listens, but there's some many influences there, and I'm not quite sure exactly what direction they're going to go in, or or meaning to go in. But your expert analysis may be able to help us out with that one, Kirk.
Yeah, it would come under extreme metal, I would say, because they're pulling in. There's definitely that primal hardcore aggression, isn't there, in the music? Certainly in the vocals, they are just single tracked, one take. I said in my review, you know, if someone has a gun to your head and you're on your knees, you only get one chance to beg for your life. And it's like that with the singer in the studio here, just like, I'm just going to spew my guts up, scream until I'm bleeding, and that's the final product. However it comes out, the emotion's more important than any form of vocal lines. I love this album. That first track is so aggressive. Do you know what's really clever about that? They have this staccato beat, don't they, where percussive, all instruments are doing it, and they continue that for 3 minutes. And you get the scream vocals, and then there's a second channel of guitars playing these really fascinating downward palm mutes. And I was thinking, fuck me, that is really metal, the way they've done that. I was expecting, a bit like, you know, the band Terracell that we reviewed. I was thinking chaotic hardcore, mathcore element. What surprised me about this, there were definitely, yes, early segments of that screamo scene from the mid to late 90s in America, which is, let's be honest, pilloried now, isn't it? And doesn't get any respect. But they did capture when that did have some promise, that scene. And it's so unhinged, this music, isn't it? It's like they've recorded a nervous breakdown. And, you know, it's misanthropic, but it doesn't have that external projection where it sounds like the protagonist is going to murder people. It sounds like he's going to kill himself. What really, another thing that surprised about this album, the halfway point, it turns into an art rock drama. The female spoken word, how enchanting is that? And again, how that neurosis where she starts increasing the frantic tempo, where she's talking about how everything just fucked up in her life. But listen to the beauty of those guitar arpeggios in the background, and then how risky to then move from that song, Hall of Mirrors, to the song Safter, and just have a spoken word song with ambient textures and clean guitars, and then it ends up in this sludge metal maelstrom, doesn't it, at the end? But yeah, I think you know my taste now, don't you? I like heavy music that draws from polarizing parts of the metal spectrum, and I include modern hardcore in that, because let's be honest, modern hardcore is basically metal these days, isn't it? The riffs they're playing, the syncopation, the chugging sounds that they make on the guitars, the aggression. I love the vocals. I prefer these vocals than I do death metal or black metal. I just like it when someone really is vitriolic and there's a sense of despair to them. So Dave, I know you said you couldn't hear what he was saying.
Yeah.
To me, the emotion is just as important. I'm not saying that lyrics are irrelevant. Of course they're not. You don't want somebody just using psychobabble and passing that off as art. You know, you do want something that has a literal meaning, but I think the music itself is the language here, and that is recording a nervous breakdown, isn't it? I just thought it was so powerful. So I loved it. I can understand why, certainly, Dave, that you would lose interest. Like you said, that intensity, you need to be invested in it. And once you switch off, you can't get back into it, can you? Into this album. I know where you're coming from.
I think it's a difficult one when we've talked about sort of, especially as well, we talk about Doom, we talk about these extreme ones. It's the mindset of what do you want to be in when you're listening to it, and how do you want to feel when you finish listening to it. So when we've talked about Doom, I kind of go, I'm losing the will to live sometimes. And it's with this one, and you said about someone having a nervous breakdown. Well, I know I don't listen to music to feel like someone's having a nervous breakdown, because I don't want to feel like that. I feel, because I want to enjoy and feel happy with music, and I listen to that and I would not feel happy. I don't feel like a real positive person after listening to that sort of stuff. I would love to be able to listen to it and go, yeah, you know what, I feel really happy now. This is wonderful. Let's go for a lovely sunny walk. Let's listen to some extreme metal. It's not really, I just can't see the place of where that sits in people's lives, about what situations you have to feel or be in where you put that on and that improves your life. Is it because it's that bad that it makes you feel better? I say that as a joke, because I know people love that, because there is a very big technical element to this sort of metal, but as people that listen to it, when you put it on, what is it you're trying to get out of that music? What is it that you enjoy about it, I guess?
Do you know I described it as them essentially providing us with the audio equivalent of a nervous breakdown?
Yeah.
There's still an element of escapism because I don't listen to music to put me in that frame of mood. And it actually doesn't, only when I'm listening to it. And then I can just step out of that. So to me, it's that performance element. And I'm not that type of person. So that perhaps explains why I listen to a lot of aggressive and violent music, because I'm just not that type of person. And maybe that is escapism for me. I just want to be someone else when I'm listening to it. So that's probably my response is I want to be somebody else when I'm listening to extreme metal, just for the entirety of that record. And if I like it and engage with it, that is quite cathartic for me. I certainly think genres like post-metal, they are cathartic because it is just white hot rage, isn't it? But it's got this abstract avant-garde feel to it as well. But Andy, I would say Cult of Luna with better guitar riffs, because post-metal, they're not concerned with guitar riffs. Yes, it's like sludge metal, doom, and hardcore mixed together, isn't it, with a bit of post-rock. Yeah. Here, I think they were actually putting in some jagged shapes. I think there really were some incisive guitar moments. But let's not downplay the art rock elements to this. Dave, it sounds like you probably didn't get to track 6 and 7, where this enchanting female spoken word.
What was the track?
Appears. Hall of Mirrors. It actually starts like a black metal song, and then it kind of resets and just goes into this really introspective, almost like soliloquy. It's like a stage performance. I was just couldn't believe what I was hearing, and then to carry that on the next song and then bring it back to end on a climax of really aggressive metallic hardcore, I thought was take some balls.
I remember it. Yeah, I do remember it. I just didn't get it as much as far as vibing off of it, because it was just two variations of the extreme. But I get why you would go down that route. But okay,
last point from me. I mean, you say Cult of Luna with better riffs. Certainly the tempo was a little up on most Cult of Luna songs I've heard as well. Would you agree with that, Kirk?
Yeah, definitely.
And then they have the doom passages as well. Really slow it down. And going back to what you said, David, about why would you put this album on? What are you trying to achieve by listening to it? I mean, that could be a discussion point for us on another episode. What do you as a listener want to get from putting on a album by band X? Do you know what I mean? Or a band from this genre? What are you trying to achieve? What do you want to get from it? Do you put it on at certain times of your life, certain times of the day?
Yeah, okay. Well, that might be something we can get into.
Certain emotions, because I think that'd be an interesting discussion.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good plan. But let's now give our final scoring then. So, as always, we've got it's either a bid it, a trade it, a stream it, or a buy it. So I'm going to kick this one straight off. It's a trade it for me, and that's purely because it's not a bad album. It's just something that I would never listen to. But I know there are a lot of people. I could pick a few people that we all know that would love this album. So I would say this is a trade it for me. Kirk?
Buy it. I'm going to give it the highest mark on this. I gave it an 8 out of 10 when I reviewed it for Screen Blast Repeat. I stand by this album. I'll be surprised if it doesn't make our top 50 albums of the year. I was really impressed by the emotion and the brutality of this album.
Andy, what's your scoring for this one?
I would put it as a one I would stream or stream it. I did enjoy it. It wasn't consistent enough for me to like every single track or every single part of every single track. It's certainly a really good album, and I will be revisiting it.
Awesome. So there we go. That was Throwing Bricks. Bit of a mixed bag of thoughts and feelings from us on that one. But if you liked this video, please do subscribe, click the bell icon, like and share, and we'll of course see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care.